It's occurred to me that the economic measure, purchasing power parity, and in relationship to the value of a currency, is not accurate because it would only be relevant to basic sustenance, food, and water. And even food and water and fuel such as gas or electricity or coal or oil are traded across states, across borders, from city to city, from quarter to quarter. And to be realistic, even in one country, I won't name a country, but in any one country, be it modern or backward or rich or poor, purchasing power parity would differ from region to region, from north to south, from west to east to central, and it would differ from state to state, from county to county, from council to council, and from city to city, and from quarter a city to quarter a city. It might be different on two streets or in two shops, on two market stalls. It has very little meaning. It is relatively ludicrous. It even differs from person to person in the same shop according to their social status. So there's no such thing as purchasing power parity. It is an irrelevant economic marker. I would say statistics is based on doubt because if you have the numbers, why do you need statistics? If you knew there were so many cattle and so many fields and so many bulls and so many mouths to feed, why would you need statistics? And a good example of that is in Genesis. Joseph, Pharaoh's dream about the cattle and the sheaves of corn, the fat cattle, 10, and the lean cattle, 10, and the lean cattle devouring the fat cattle and remaining lean, and the fat sheaves of corn, and the thin sheaves of corn, and the thin sheaves of corn burning the fat sheaves of corn, and the thin sheaves of corn remaining. And he said there would be 10 fat years and 10 lean years. And hence he interpreted Pharaoh's dream. However, he came up with a solution that said there should be grain stores and they should provide for the lean years. And the surplus they should sell to neighbours, neighbouring nations who would come and purchase and they would make money from them. And the Egyptians did that. And it is historical because there is some evidence that grain cities were built in Egypt. Well, that's a fact. The Egyptians built entire cities just to store grain. And it's said that the Jews built these cities. I'm not sure if that's a fact. It's said the pyramids were built by Egyptian workers who were paid and lived very advanced, civilized lives. But the Jews weren't slaves, that's a fact. But what the slaves did is in doubt. The Jews were slaves in Egypt, but what do they do? But I suspect that they picked cotton. There is a passage in Isaiah, I can't remember the chapter, but it's between 19 and 27. It says that the Son of Man is born of the loom. Loom is cotton. And I suspect he's born of the Egyptian slavery. And most slaves in the New World pick cotton. And I know they still pick cotton in Uganda today. Not slaves, but poor people, farm workers pick cotton. And cotton is still the same vast economic resource it always was for clothes and other things made of cloth. And the slaves picked cotton. But it's said that I have read that slaves built, and it's in the Bible, they built grain cities. Pharaoh Ramesses the Great. That's not the Ramesses of Exodus, it's the father of Ramesses. You see, the Ramesses of the daughter of Pharaoh was Ramesses the Great. He's the man that hated Jews. But Ramesses of the time of Moses calling on Egypt to let his people go was the son of this man, Ramesses II, and he was a lesser man. I don't know what would have happened if it was Ramesses the Great that a prophet had to go up against, because apparently he was quite formidable. But God is God, not to say, regarding who the devil is. It is said the devil is just a man, an ordinary man, and people will look upon him and see he is nothing more than a man. But he will be seen by people everywhere. And God only knows, excuse me, God only knows who that devil will be. Now, I would think a better way of understanding wealth relatively from one country to another without using statistics is just to use basic facts, numbers, but to compare them, not statistically, but just to put them in a ledger and say, here you have this and here you have that. And I would do this. I would say, what is the income for, in any nation, for the top 20%, divided by the number of people in that 20% who are earning, or adults, and divided, and what is the lowest income, or the average, not the average, but if you have a nation such as, I didn't want to give an example, but I will give an example. If you take Sweden, that's a good nation to take. It's a very rich country, and it's socialist, and they have a large population. They have about 6-7 million people. If you take 20% of the Swedish population in adulthood, say male and female, let's not be sexist, men and women, the highest earning 20%, and you take their wages, leave business out of it because it's too difficult to assess. There's too much corruption and deceit and sleight of hand, accountancy and taxation and kickbacks and everything. So for wages, 20% of adults, workers and non-workers, and you take the income, yearly income, and divide it by the number of people in that 20% receiving that income. And I say working, not working, because of spouses and households. So you've got to include as many people as you can, because everybody has to eat. And then you have a figure for the average amount of money that the richest 20% of people in Sweden earn. And then you take the lowest 20%, the lowest 20% of the population earning the lowest amount, and you do the same thing, their total income and the number of adults. And then you have two numbers. And there is a way of doing this, and then do that for every nation. And you could break it down only to nations. You wouldn't have to do purchasing power parity and change it for regions or social status or anything like that. Just the highest 20%, lowest 20%. That's in the Bible. And it says you take the lowest 20% and you raise them above, and the highest 20% and you bring them down. That's what is in the New Testament. Paul said that's what will happen after the end times in the new world. So there's something else you have to do. It's called the Euler constant. The Euler constant is based on pi. I think that's 3.14, and then it goes on. You could go on another 15 digits, or 20 or 25. I think the average is 15 digits after the decimal point. So 3.14. So if you take the Euler constant, that is the bracketed number n. So that would be the figure for the wage of the highest 20% earning divided by the number of people earning in that highest 20%. and then you say it is equivalent. It's not equal to, but it is comparable to a constant k. And then, that's not complete yet, the bracketed number n is equivalent to the constant k, which is equivalent, relatively equal to another bracketed number n, which would be the total wage for the lowest earning 20% of adults divided by the number of adults. And then you have one amount or number or symbol or equation or number or figure or form for understanding both groups, the highest 20% and their wage, and the lowest 20% and their wage in that country. And then you can plot it graphically or manipulate it in a computer in terms of images with graphs or spheres or shading or whatever you want to do, or dots. And you could do that for every country in the world. And then what you can do is you can manipulate it again, because you could do that separately for every currency without using purchasing power parity, which means nothing. It gives you no concept of rich or poor, because you take Sudan as extremely wealthy farmers and a very poor population, and Ethiopia again, extremely wealthy in Addis Ababa, property owners, landowners everywhere are wealthy, and Nicaragua again is wealthy people. Puerto Rico, you've got wealthy, you've got poor. In America, you've got poor. So purchasing power parity doesn't help. I mean, I don't give a shit if someone can't afford eggs. I don't eat eggs. They're unclean if people fornicate. You see, you can't. If someone can live on $1 a day, why say they're poor? Purchasing power parity doesn't help anyone. But those numbers, the average wage for the highest 20% and the average wage for the lowest 20%, and understood with the Euler constant, the bracketed number n is equivalent to the constant k, which is equivalent to the bracketed number n, and it's the highest 20% earnings and the lowest 20% earnings, the average wage for both. And the constant would be constant in every nation. It would be the same k for every country on earth. That's how you could compare everyone. And what would the constant be? Well, the constant could be 5. It could be 3.14, but it doesn't have to be. It could be something else. It could be the price of a bath of water. You see, that's biblical. Or a homer of grain. It could be rice or tea. I suppose rice is more sensible. It could be the price of a particular weight of beef or pork. That's like the Chicago Futures Exchange, pork bellies. And this can be done. It's not being done. I've never seen an economist talk about it, but that's how it should be done. And then you've got a good way of balancing currencies, because you can help people not to be so poor without impoverishing the rich, because they remain in that bracket. And the constant is the same. So relative to other people, they're always richer. The constant is the same. But in each country, the 20% is earning more at the top and 20% at the bottom is earning more. And in between, you've got 60% who are the middle income earners. So I'm sending this out to a few people, and I hope it's relevant. And if you want to get back to me, I'll talk to you either by phone or email. Do your best and try and understand. I'm being quite sincere. This is all in the Bible. Even 5, if you look at Matthew chapter 3, verse 14, it is quite relevant. God bless you.